So for Kenya, can you talk, please?
Yeah,
Kenya,
Ranjit Fizels.
Rajiv is there. Louis and Olivier will join. Tell me if you see Olivier. I don't see Olivier yet. I don't see Olivier. Are you recording? But let's start maybe with well, let's start with Louis. We're just started. So Louis, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Louis, and I started two months ago my MBA at Chicago booth. I'm doing the executive MBA program that is 1 week every month in London. Aside from doing this MBA, I'm an entrepreneur, launching my second venture. Prior to that, I was working in the FMCG industry, working in the wine business in Australia. And I moved back to Europe to create a startup in the fashion business before moving to Brussels and starting another business in the swimmer safety industry. I'm 29 years old, and after working for almost 8 years, I decided to do an MBA, and I went through Uber Silly class and the MBA Center to help me I reached the top MBA and my top choice, which were the Chicago booth.
Yeah, it's an important thing. Rajiv, are you with us, Rajiv? Rajiv, so Rajiv, I think that he has a problem with his son, Rajiv. Because he's from San Francisco. He works for Amazon in San Francisco. Rajiv, can you talk, Rajiv? I don't know. Okay, so basically, before he can join, because of course we want someone from MIT as well. So he has to fix the prime. So Louis, you remember that when you came to see me, because you're pretty young, you were 28 when you came to see me. How old were you? Yes, 28.
I was 28. I was 28.
Yeah, you were 28. So your objective initially was to go for a full-time MBA. Remember?
Yeah.
And then you raise money for your company, basically. So you found out that you have a great idea that your company will develop, and you say it's a pity to raise money from investors and to raise something, the company, a venture that is promising. You agree? Yeah. So what prompted you initially to go for a full-time MBA for a US program when there are so many good programs in Europe?
Okay, so for me, my rationale to go for a US MBA was that essentially the MBA was created in the US. So I figured that, if I do something that's as much time commitment and financial commitment as an MBA, I might as well do it in the US, in its birthplace. I was looking at the top MBAs on the East Coast and West Coast because I really wanted to have the transformational aspect of an MBA. But as Hubert mentioned, in my business, I managed to raise funds, and we've got a good plan for the development of the company. And I figure, how can I combine this entrepreneurship journey with a top tier education? And this is why I switched from a full-time MBA to executive MBA. And I'm super happy with this choice.
Yeah. So how does it work? So can you tell us how does the MBA work in terms of campuses? Because they have 3 campuses in terms of work organization. What are you studying now? So tell us everything.
Okay, so an MBA is big. To be honest, a big time commitment. So the executive MBA that I'm doing is 1 week every month in London, where essentially for that week I'm 100% committed to the program. It's usually the day starts at 8 in the morning, and we finish up at 11 or midnight. We've got assignments from a day to the next, because the executive MBA of Chicago booth, the diploma that is delivered in the end is the MBA from Chicago. So there's no difference in a sense between a full-time MBA at Chicago and an executive MBA at Chicago, which is very good because and the thing is that we have to combine all this learning experience from a full-time into just 1 week. Hence, it's very intense. So in any given month, I will have a week in London where there is really an impetus to not only to work and to study hard, but also to socialize a lot, because the class is very diverse. We come from all 5 continents, I would say. The average age is 37. Most people have between 15 to 20 years of experience. Very different industries. I mean, we've got people that work in the mining business, in consulting, in banking, but also something else. Like, for instance, we've got a Olympic medalist in judo. We've got a lot of militaries people. We've got political advisor, we've got a doctor, we've got a surgeon. So it's a very diverse community. And essentially, when we're over there in London, we really want to not only study and work hard, but also to socialize with the people, because this is probably what the MBA brings, is not only a classroom experience and a classroom learning, but it's also a people learning. So the learning actually happens almost as much from the class as it happens from the people and the rest of my colleagues. So, for instance, one of my colleagues is working in venture capital, and essentially, you know, as an entrepreneur, it's very interesting to speak with those kinds of people. So that's why I would say is a typical the typical reason why I chose to do an MBA.
Okay, so now Olivier came, and then after that I would ask our friend Rajiv to talk to us. So Olivier, you're on mute. Olivier, can you introduce yourself, Olivier, maybe?
Hi everyone. Sorry I'm late.
No, it's fine.
So I'm a lawyer in Paris. I manage a law firm that does everything involving companies, startups, large companies, everything. And I did the MBA at the University of Chicago in 2008 to 2010.
Okay. And so tell me, so can you, so what were your expectations, Olivier, when we did, what was the experience like at Chicago?
Oh, I loved the city. I loved the university. I loved the teachers. My expectation when I was going into University of Chicago Business School was to gain financial and econ education, and I don't think I could have gotten a better one anywhere else. I did not go to Chicago to gain management, marketing, you know, this kind of stuff. Of course, I had classes in that, but my real expectation was finance and econ. That's my expectation as to the training, the education. My education, which I believe is everybody's education when you go into an MBA, was to have a progress in my career. And at the time, I was trying to switch from being a lawyer to being a private equity investor, which I had prepared for by getting an internship in the summer, you know, the mid-year, the midsummer, and I had a plan on where I was going to land. But all of that disappeared with the 2008 crisis. And then I think I realized, well, I'm sure I realized during the MBA that I was better suited in terms of personality and everything, you know, my good sides and my bad sides, that I was more suited to be a lawyer than being a private equity investor. So in the end, I went back to the law, but this time understanding finance and econ, understanding how to value companies a lot better. I do mergers and acquisitions, startups, fundraising, and the education I got really helps me advise my clients in many ways, many more ways than the usual lawyer does.
Okay, so because basically, if you can explain to our audience today, you have created your own law firm, and so that's not what you want to do. That's what you want to grow and develop. Yeah.
Yeah. So the motto at the University of Chicago is challenge everything. So I went back after my MBA. I went back to law. I worked for a firm in which I was not a partner for 3 years, and then I became a partner in another firm, and then I became a partner in yet another firm, an American firm, and none of this satisfied me for different reasons. So I ended up starting my own firm with, I would say, innovative ideas on how a law firm should be organized and should be run, and that was 5 years ago. And now our law firm is the fastest growing law firm in France. We have an office in London. We have an office in Paris. We just opened an office in Nantes. We will be opening an office in Lyon next month. We're 30 right now, and growing. We expect to double that size by the end of next year. So it's working. I was able to use a lot of things that I learned at the University of Chicago, in particular economic incentives, everything, and that's how I structured the firm, and hoping that it would work, and it ended up working. And now we're just unfolding this, scaling this in a way that's actually never been done in the world of law firms. Scaling a firm from 3 to 30, or from 1 to 30 in the time that we did has not been done, and hopefully we'll talk next year, and I'll tell you that we've reached our goal of doubling in 1 year, and that's also never been done. Actually, not without mergers. Actually, it's been done, but by merging different law firms, and we have an organic growth, no mergers.
So basically, and all that came from, can be explained by this MBA that you did at Chicago.
Yeah,
it brought you a lot to change your vision of the law firm.
I wouldn't say that the MBA gave me everything that I'm using to do this, but I can tell you that without the MBA, I would not have been able to do it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, now let's ask. So basically, you have an entrepreneur. We have two entrepreneurs because Olivier himself is an entrepreneur. Are you still based in Belgium, Olivier? Yeah, you still based in Belgium?
Well, I opened an office in Belgium at the beginning, and that's one of the mistakes that we did, and we realized it quickly. We opened our Belgian office. We opened it as a franchise, and I realized very quickly that franchise doesn't work for law firms. Franchise works for restaurants, works for clothes companies, where you control where the franchisor controls the end product and controls the process that's being implemented by the franchisee. In a law firm, you don't really control your lawyers, so there's no control on anything, and then you don't control the quality, you don't control the culture. So franchise doesn't work. So because of that failure, we've closed our Belgian office, and we hope that we will reopen in the next 5 years. That's the plan, but as our 100% owned and ran by us.
Yeah, I think it's a better. I also franchised the MBA Center when I started, and it's not good. Yes, you have to be you have to have.
Well, franchises only works when you can control the product and the process. Those are the two things you need to control.
And in the law firm, it's difficult to control the product and the process.
Well, the product is the people, and the process they do whatever they want. So you don't control anything.
So tell me, Rajiv, can you introduce yourself? Because Rajiv finished MIT not long time ago. Are you still with us, Rajiv? So I've not seen you for a year, Rajiv. Go ahead, Rajiv. Yeah, hello.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Do you want me to start with a general introduction?
Yeah.
Okay. So name's Rajiv. I currently work as a senior finance manager with Amazon, where I am kind of lead a cost and capacity team for one of the largest Amazon AWS services. I finished my MBA through a Sloan Fellows program out of MIT, graduated in 2018, and then joined Amazon. Before MIT, I was a banker. So talking a little bit about MIT, just going with the themes that Heather had, largely I focused on entrepreneurship and technology, and also along with MBA did a business analytics certificate from MIT. Before MIT, I was a frontline corporate banker and did corporate banking sales for a while. So that's a little bit about myself, and I can go into any specific questions that you have.
Yes, of course. So basically, I follow you, and I remember that when we worked together on the whole process. So of course, I was extremely impressed by your achievement, because now you work for Amazon Web Services in San Francisco after MIT. So it's a big achievement. So, but at the same time, it's not what you had in mind. I forgot what you had in mind. So what brought you to? I guess that nobody will refuse to work for Amazon in San Francisco. They must pay you well. You must have an interesting life. I remember that you have kids as well. So of course, it's a big opportunity for the family. So what brought you to Amazon, Rajiv?
Yeah. So when I kind of came to MIT, I had three career paths post MIT. One was I was on sabbatical, so I could have gone back to banking here in the US or back home in India. The second path was to start something of my own. That was one of the areas that I wanted to explore, and I did. And the third part is to join a technology firm. So I largely focused on second and third. And then as a family, we decided that it'll be probably a little bit of a time before I jump into entrepreneurship. So I kind of came to Amazon. That was honestly the only interview I gave. I liked the company. I kind of liked the role. So I kind of just joined it. And so far, it's been good. It's been 3 years. I'm already in my third role with 2 career enhancements. So it's working well, good for so far. Yeah. I don't have a very clear answer, but I kind of at that time prioritized in terms of what we wanted as a family.
No, but it's a good. And your family joined you. So when you were in at MIT, the family was still in India. The family stayed
they
in
were
India.
with me.
They came with you. So okay, of course.
Yeah, everybody moved here.
They moved with you. So now they are Americans somehow. Okay, so they. No, but what I would say is that they have spent already 4 years in America, for 5 years.
Yeah, for 5 years now.
Yeah, for 5 years. Olivier's kids are American as well, by the way, but they're American because the mother is American. So of course it's a complete change. No, it's I've never been in San Francisco. I've never been in.
I'm in Seattle actually. I'm in Seattle. Yeah, I'm in Seattle actually. But that's
Seattle, but it's not very far. It's not very far. So what is life like? Did you learn how to ski? Do you go skiing a bit? No, being based in Seattle with your kids?
I've not tried it honestly, but I like a lot of outdoors. There's a lot of opportunities for trekking. That's what I like to do, explore outdoors. So Pacific Northwest is like the place to be in if you like nature. So that's what we kind of end up doing on many weekends. But life has been interesting so far.
Yeah, of course, it's a big thing. Alors, basically, what prompted you to do an MBA, Rajiv, to leave India, to go to America? You could have studied at ISB. Why did you come to MIT? Why did you stay in the US? So it's a complete life change for you, huh?
Yeah. So I had done banking for a while. I kind of did it well, but at some point I kind of came at a career juncture where I wanted to do something different. And when I was looking to do something different, I was like, why not just change everything? So I changed geography, function, industry, and everything, right? So I was focused on US because one, I wanted to see a global business perspective, more kind of build an international network, which I probably would not have had if I were to stay in India. So to some extent, I had some international work, working in an network, working in an international bank, but I still wanted to really experience and also have that experience for the family to kind of live in a multicultural kind of ecosystem. And that's what MIT gave us, especially because like all B schools have, you have people from pretty much all continents or many countries. So especially, and also we went for Sloan Fellows, so we had the families as well for many people. So it kind of, I think it was a good experience. And my idea was like, after 1 year, we can still come back to India, but at least that experience would be there. So yeah, that's where I kind of ended up choosing a USB school over NIS.
Yeah, of course, I envy you because me, after my studies in America, I didn't stay because I married. I was not married, but I was with a girl who was pregnant and who gave me wonderful kids. And she didn't want to be in America, which is really. And I had to follow her back to France. So of course, when I see that, I say, okay, my life would be different now if I stay in America. Louis, before we go back to you, so Louis. If you can unmute, so do you feel that you're already changing with this MBA? You feel that in your business, in your approach of business, etc., you're changing already. You see a change.
Yeah, I think, and I think Olivier touched upon it as well, because Olivier was doing the same school. I'm also attending University of Chicago. Our first class was made by a prof called Linda Ginzel, and Linda Ginzel is a clinical psychologist working for or making the class called managerial psychology, and that class title might seem a bit fuzzy and not necessarily technical, but it was really an experience that was talking about, essentially how to ask tough questions from one another. And that first week of class, it was pretty light, to be honest. But as I mentioned before, the intensity of the program was made as much by the class as it was made by the cohort and by my fellow MBA members. And I think especially with regards to managerial psychology and how groups behave and how the personality can affect decision making and everything. Those already from the discussions that I've had with my peers are translated into the business that I'm doing right now. How can we avoid groupthink? How can we foster innovation? How can we ask tough questions to prompt creativity? I think all of these are immediately transferable. And this is why I think an MBA is great, is that it gives you tools to be able to adapt to your own industry. And this is why also in a class, there is so much diversity, from people that are entrepreneurs or people that work at Amazon or at Google or in banking or in mining. Everyone can take essentially what they want from the class and apply it to their own fields.
So that's the thing that you have. So Olivier, what is how is the Chicago MBA program structured? So you studied for 2 years. What is year 1, year 2, summer camp, the summer break? What is the typical day of a student at Chicago? Can you tell us more about this?
Yeah.
Can you share your experience?
Well, I think Louis, you when did you do the MBA? What, you just started? No?
You
Oh
just
yeah,
started this
I started
September.
a month and a half ago.
Okay, so I don't know if it's still that way, but when I did it, you start with a week of basically bonding between creating the cohorts, like we said, they divide the class in subsections, and then you have your classes. There's a lot of econ classes. You're really free to choose your concentration. So I chose to concentrate on econ, accounting, corporate finance. I can't remember. I've got 4 concentrations on my diploma. I think it has accounting, behavioral management, which I think Louise, you just took one of those classes that counts towards that concentration. And I did private equity also. And that there's a lot of entrepreneurial, it's the entrepreneurial and private equity concentration. So you choose the concentration that you're going to do. You can choose marketing, you can choose management, and then there will be a certain number of classes you need to take to qualify for those concentrations when you graduate. You can, I think you can pick between 3 and 4 classes per quarter. There's 3 or 4 quarters a year. I can't remember. There's the summer break, so that's 1 quarter. Some people do classes during that the summer break, and so you have 3 quarters, I guess, fall, winter, and spring. So you have 9 quarters to graduate. 3 classes in each quarter, and you have a summer break during which most people do an internship, a 6-week internship. That's usually pretty well paid, depending on what you want to do going out of the MBA. Really early on, I think it's Louis. Recruiting should start pretty soon, right? They're starting to prepare you for recruiting. There's going to be a lot of companies are coming to campus. There's basically the class is divided in 3. There's the people who want to do finance, so they recruit for banking. that's 1/3 of the class usually. There's another third of the class that's going to recruit for consulting. So I'm stepping back. Banking, you're going to have the Goldman Sachs, the JP Morgan. You're going to have all the banks coming in. Dutch Bank, everyone is coming on campus to meet you, interview you, and then if they like you, offer you an internship. That's the banking. The consulting, you're gonna have the McKinsey, BCG, H. Kearney, Bain, all those coming on campus. There'll be cocktails, there'll be events. Sometimes they'll take you to a baseball game or something during second round or third round of interview. And then the last third is usually corporate. So you have a lot of corporations, Fortune 500 companies that come to campus and meet you. You've got the Microsoft and the Amazon, I imagine now. Amazon didn't come back when I was there, but I'm sure they come now. And all sorts of companies that come on campus, and same thing, you can choose to go meet them then, or at least apply so that you can be selected to meet them. And then there's recruitment. And usually that 6-month internship during the summer break between year 1, year 2, is a pre-hiring process. So if you, and it's almost like a check the box thing. If you don't mess things up during your summer internship, it's pretty certain that they're going to hire you, they're going to offer you a job. So that's the way it goes. Winter, Louis, you haven't seen winter in Chicago yet. Winter is a bit rough, but the whole city is equipped for it, just like in other cold cities in North America. So it's also fun, you have the cold. It's a pleasant cold. So everything, the life is pleasant. The city is very pleasant. I think Chicago is one of the most pleasant cities in the U.S. with San Francisco. So yeah, I liked my time there. I loved it. I loved the school. I loved the city. I wouldn't have wanted to go somewhere else, to tell you the truth.
How do you connect now with the Chicago graduates? Are you part of the Chicago Booth Alumni Club, Alumni Association of Paris? How does it work?
I am. The alumni group of Chicago is very strong in the U.S., in North America. It's quite strong in Asia. I would say that it's not as strong as some other groups in Europe, and maybe that's also true for South America. And that comes from the fact that I don't think they take a lot of students from Europe. Louis, how many French are you in Chicago? When I was there, it was less than 10.
Yeah, so I'm doing the executive MBA program based in
Oh,
London.
okay.
So there's
Okay.
a bit more
That's
French
different.
people.
Yeah.
But then
Okay.
again, we're around probably 60 people, and there's, I think, 3 French people.
You're French. Out of
So
60.
the alumni group in of the University of Chicago is very much composed of executive people, a lot less than full time. So we do meet, and there's events where there's about, let's say, 20, 30 of us, sometimes for the large events a little more. I still feel like it's a smaller group than some other, than Harvard or even Stanford, I'd say, in Paris. I've seen events for those. I've been to events for those universities, and they tend to be a little larger.
So tell me, Louis, what do you do between each class? So I guess that you have you go to class 1 week per month, something like this?
Yeah, that is correct. It's a week per month.
1 week per month. So what do you do between each class? Is it like personal work, or is it collaborative work?
Okay,
how does it work?
So typically in a given month, I will be 1 week in London. Then the second week will be time off from school. I tend to see friends and family, focus on my business and everything. Then week 3 and 4 would be readings and group work. These tend to pile up a lot, especially during this semester, because we're doing financial accounting and microeconomics. So as Olivier touched upon, it's the Chicago Booth School is very focused on those fundamentals. And those classes, they're quite demanding, but they're taught by stellar faculty, and that's probably one of the highlights of the Chicago Booth School, is that it's the faculty is second to none. Like most of my prof, I mean, they taught with, or they interact with, or even are teaching us, are Nobel Prize winners. So for instance, one of the famous one from Chicago Booth is Dick Taylor on behavioral economics. And so that level of interaction is quite, I mean, it's super nice to have this as a student. And so it's quite demanding. And between those two classes, between those months, it does, it does impact. There's still a bit of work to do. And you have to make choices, which is also one of the things that was stressed during my first week here at Chicago Booth, was to say that an MBA is a journey. It's a journey of transformation, and one where you have to bring your family and friends along, in a way, because as you're changing, you need to make sure that your partner is in line with you. You need to have that support system that's okay. It's okay if we don't see you for 2 years, essentially. And yeah, so it's a lot of work, but it's, at the same time, it's very interesting. Like, for instance, financial accounting. I've never been a big fan of accounting. But one of my group member is an ex-partner from one of the big four. So the guy has 25 years experience, and so the level of knowledge and know-how that is able to to transfer back to us is outstanding. So it's very interesting.
And you're learning a lot from that. So basically, we're going to ask questions now, because there are many students of ours who are coming. So Animesh, you have a question maybe for Rajiv? Animesh?
Yeah. Hi.
I guess if you could have a question for Rajiv, because Rajiv has not talked much now. So what would be the question, Animesh?
Hey, Rajiv. So, like, there's a lot of talk about that. There's a lot of changing policies in America when the government changes, like with the Biden administration being in US. So what are the scope for the Indian students? Is there more influx of Indian students, or like post-COVID, there's a reduction in foreign students coming to US and getting jobs?
Rajiv shows the contrary, because he stayed there. So tell us, Rajiv, what is your opinion, and what have you been through so far?
Yeah. So I would not know, Animesh, about the current status in terms of how it's behaving now, but I can tell you that even in the previous administration, the larger companies were still sponsoring H-1B. They were still kind of hiring from campus, irrespective of your visa status and nationality. And most of the large companies, right, including Amazon, Microsoft, Google, whoever, right, like the big consulting firms, they have pretty much huge law firms that it's like a machine, right? They are used to processing visas and applying for H-1B. So that didn't change. So I would say if you're looking for a US-based career, that should not be a blocker. At the end of the day, it's still a lottery, but a lot of the MBAs now are qualified as STEM courses, which gives you 3 years in OPT, which means you can apply for H-1B lottery like 3 or 4 times. So it's a fair shot. I do not think at a ground level, from a political environment, anything kind of changed too much, except for maybe some of the more local companies maybe shied away from kind of sponsoring H-1Bs. But I don't think that's a blocker. There's like enough and more internationals here, including Indians.
So is it more recommended to go for a STEM-based course in an MBA, or like is it?
MBAs are STEM. Sorry, many MBAs are STEM
within
today.
MBA,
That's
like
what
there
I
are
said.
some specializations which are STEM designated, right? Like business analytics specializations, and so does that help, or like is it better to go for a dual degree? Like in some universities nowadays, like you have good dual degree courses which have both MS as well as MBA, and that help with the STEM designations.
Oh, I would say even the normal MBAs are STEM in few courses, in few schools, right? For MIT for sure is a STEM MBA now. I can't talk about other schools, but there many of them are there. So I would say the only advantage that you get is that you can get like 3 years of OPT if you're really worried about H-1B lottery process. So I'm not talking about the dual courses. Essentially, dual courses are with like an entire domain which I cannot talk about. But I would say they have unblocked some of the concerns by extending the OPT by designating MBA as a STEM in many universities. If that helps.
All right. Thanks. That helps. Thanks, Rajiv.
Alors, basically, I've seen that today we have a lot of students from South America, from MBA Center South America. I'm sure that they have a lot of questions, so I know them. So, Nelly, how are you, Nelly? So, Nelly, for instance, she's based in Peru, as far as I remember. So, Nelly, you have a question for us? Nelly? Nelly? Ah, Nelly, she's surprised.
Hi, Hubert. How are you? Yeah, I just got
So, what is the question?
I just got
by the
a
way,
call.
Olivier is a fan of South America. He spends a lot of time in Brazil, huh, Olivier? So if you have a question, he's a French Brazilian now. He has developing Brazilian roots, huh, Olivier?
Yeah.
So what question have you got for our guest?
Okay, thank you very much, guys, for your testimony. It was very good to hear from you about your experience. So I just have a question regarding like which tips could you give us in order to write the essays or maybe the recommendations related to each of the business schools that you work with, or well, any other advice that you think it's useful for us?
So Louis has been in the process not long time ago. Louis, you were in the process not long time ago. What would you say?
Yeah, but maybe they could they have friends, or well, I don't know, maybe they help someone like during
what would you
process.
say, Louis? So what piece of advice would you give?
Yeah, so I mean, essentially, I would say listen to the advice of Hubert to begin with, and also be yourself as much as possible. And I noticed this in the cohort in my program right now. I mean, I've got people that are my age, others that are 54, 55 years old, some that are a huge career in banking, others that that were professional athletes. So everyone is different, and I think the admission when they're trying to build the class, essentially trying to have different profiles. So be yourself, have a good spell check, and write a solid essay that means what you think it means.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll work on that, Lily.
Maurice,
you have another question? Yes, you have another question, Nelly? Another question for us? So, Maurice.
No.
With the most American Austrian that we know, Maurice is based in Pittsburgh. You're based in Pittsburgh now, Maurice. Eine Frage für uns, Maurice.
I
how are you, man,
not
Maurice?
Yeah, right now. I was just listening to the MBA talk, since I'm not really interested in an MBA, but rather an MIM. So I'm just here to listen. But thank you so much for all the good conversation that we have had so far already.
I didn't think of a question. Maybe you have a question to Olivier. Olivier is very interested in education as well. So ask him a question. I'm sure that you have because the MIM is like an MBA. As you know, it's pretty close. And Olivier is like me. He's a father, so he knows all this. So what questions have you got, Maurice, for us?
Let me think of a question. I'm gonna come back.
Okay, so I guess that it would be an incredible question. So another one. Hello. So basically, Maurice, his personal situation is that he wants to stay in America because he has a girlfriend there, and yes, he wants to study in the US. He studied in Spain before that. He studied at ESADE, and he wants to now study in the US to stay there, find a job. Olivier, you think it's the best approach to get a degree to stay in America? Yeah, probably. Yeah, no.
Yeah, yeah. If you want to work in the US, getting an MBA or MIM is what is Masters in Management.
Management, yes, that's a junior MBA.
Okay. Yeah, well, getting one in one of the top-rated schools in the US, that's never going to hurt. If your goal is to work in the United States, it's very, very important that you choose the highest level of university, because Americans, they hire on that basis. That's the most important factor in who they choose to hire in their company, is what university they went to. The US is a very large country. Everybody is, everybody's pretty good at selling themselves, a lot better than, let's say, most of us Europeans. And the differentiating factor there is what university you went to, and choosing one of the top 5, top 10 universities is a sure bet to help you get in the company, get in the bank, get in the consulting firm, or whatever company you want to work for. A lot more than choosing a lower MBA. So that's my opinion about what university to choose if you want to go to US.
Yeah, that's why we are working. You see, Olivier, we are targeting Duke Fuqua.
That's very good.
Because Moritz is trying to get the best possible GMAT, but we'll get the 640, 650. By the way, Olivier got 750 on GMAT, and Rajiv 750 as well. So they scored high to get MIT, to get Chicago. See Moritz. So there's still a lot of work. You agree? Don't forget.
I see you in 15 minutes.
Yeah, we talk. So that's something Louis remembers. So that's something that you have to take into consideration, and Olivier is right. Basically, because you're in a different situation from an American, you want to stay. So basically, getting an average university is not enough. You need to shine, to stand out, so that they give you the papers. And that's probably what they did to Rajiv. Rajiv, he could stay and work with Amazon because he's an MIT graduate. Rajiv, if you were like whatever, he would have Rochester graduate, it would have been more difficult. You agree, Rajiv? Another question for Willy. Willy from with also from Peru. So we have a lot of from MBA Center South America. So Willy, do you have a question for us? By the way, your goal is to stay in America, because I offered you to study in Europe, but you told me that you want to study because you have family in Barcelona. I suggested Isabi and IAC, but you told me no. So a question, maybe Rajiv has not talked much. Is willing to. You have a question for Rajiv?
Yeah, my question
after that, and you say that
I would like to also stay in America, but I'm currently working at 3M, and I'm struggling in the part where I have to get letter of recommendations from. I don't know if I should involve right now my supervisors, because I'm still training for the GMAT, and until I reach a score that I'm comfortable with, I don't know if I should inform of my intentions to do an MBA. I would like to know if maybe you have gone through my situation where you were preparing for the GMAT and you still didn't know if you were going to achieve that dream goal or score goal. And what would you do in that case? Should you wait, and should I wait until I reach that GMAT score, or should I still right now involve get letters of recommendation from people at my company?
So really what I would say is each letter of recommendation will have to be school specific, right? So at this stage, probably, I don't know if really you can get a letter of recommendation so early stage. Like depending on your GMAT score, depending on what school you think it will fit you, I think it'll be specific. So my advice would be to talk in general terms about your career aspirations, and you can say that is one path I might explore in the future. What do you think? And you have to test the waters to see which person would be supportive. Essentially, you need to have 2 or 3 people who you think when required, you can go them and confidently ask for ADORs, and without them getting surprised, without them raising red flags in the company about your career, right? So because it's still like you don't know, right, whether the admit will come or not, or it will take another year. So I would say the best, is like former supervisors. If you can convince one, and you're confident enough that the person would kind of help you and is truly invested in your growth, I think that's something that kind of I think worked for me. I found a former supervisor, and my current supervisor, I knew I could trust him. But everybody's situation is different. If you're concerned, I would say that talk about journal career development and say that's one option I'm considering. But do not probably go to a stage where you say I'm preparing for GMAT, is what I would say.
Okay. Thank you, Rajiv.
No worries. And last thing, so anybody who writes LOR has to be committed to spend a lot of time for your LORs. Like even uploading them, reviewing them, they have to be aligned, they'll have questions. So you want to find somebody who's willing to spend that time.
Okay,
True.
perfect.
Even if you give him some guidance, you can write in bullet points, etc. But the person has to be committed. Don't forget that he can be contacted by the school. Okay, so we're almost there. Okay, so of course it was very nice to talk to you. Very nice to talk to you, Olivier. We were in regular contact. Rajiv, less so. Louis, a bit less because now you're busy. So Olivier, the piece of advice that you could give to these students who are currently preparing the GMAT and will send the application in 2 months and a half. What would you like to tell them?
Well, I agree with Rajiv, and that's the approach I took when I prepared to apply. Is the first step is a GMAT, and you're 100% focused on the GMAT. And for me, it was actually either I was getting a high level GMAT, a high score, or I wasn't going to apply because given where I was in my career, how much money I was making, everything, it only made sense for me to make one of the top 5 MBAs in the US. I wanted to go to the US. I wanted to do an MBA in the US. So I had to meet the criteria for the GMAT and get that high score. So I was 100% focused on the GMAT, and I only started preparing for the application, writing the essays, getting the letters of recommendation after I got the GMAT, and the GMAT was satisfying for me. Gave me security that I was going to be accepted in one of the top 5 MBAs. So take it step by step, full focus on every step. First step is GMAT, full focus on that. And then once you get the GMAT, full focus on the essays, the letters of recommendation. And then, once you've given it everything, just wait and hope for the best.
Yes, exactly. Louis, what is the advice would you give to these people who will we're going to send the application in 10 weeks from now?
Yeah, I can only echo what Olivier just said. I think depends on your capabilities, but the math part and the English part of the GMAT is tricky, and it's tough to get a good score, and focus one thing at a time. So GMAT first, then essays, then letters of recommendations, and be clear into what you want. If it's a top school, if it's any MBA in the world, if it's an MBA in Europe, an MBA in the US. You have to make your choices, but remain focused. It's a lengthy process, the admission, and especially the applications. But once you get that call, it's a very fulfilling moment. So yeah, focus. That's it.
Before I talk to Rajiv, so because basically I know there are many things that we can say about the MBA. As you know, I write daily about these problems. The test, the application, whatever. And what I want to say is that I've never seen anybody who was regretted to study in the US, okay, to complete an MBA in general, but in the US even less so. I would say that all the students that I have who are over 40 years old who have studied in the US are today well off. I don't want to say millionaires, but you see what I mean, okay? So they're doing extremely well. I've never seen one who doesn't do well. So it's definitely a big investment, okay? And of course, I don't want to be a bit rude. You know that I love Peru, I love India, etc. But of course, you have many more opportunities going there, and Rajiv will tell you the same thing. I was thinking to myself, Rajiv, when I saw that now you're working for Amazon, by how many times has he multiplied his salary working for Amazon in Seattle? Something I don't want to discuss now, but that's probably something. And the future that you give to yourself and to your family as well, because they will stay in America. It's not the same. So it's definitely a good investment. So Rajiv, you don't have to answer by how many, the multiple that you have, but I would say easily 10. So probably it was a good investment. So basically go for it. Okay, it's you have nothing to lose into that. And as Olivier said, try to get the best possible program, because Cornell costs the same price as Wharton, which costs the same price as Boston University. And probably studying at Boston University, at Cornell or at Wharton, it probably be easier for you to get funding. I don't know if you know, but there is, for instance, this organization called Prodigy Finance. And I did not know much about Prodigy Finance because we recommend them. I did not know exactly how it works, but from what I got now, after having worked with them for 2 years, is that you have a sponsor. In reality, they give you a sponsor. And of course, the higher the program, the easier it is to get a sponsor. If you get INSEAD, Wharton, you get a sponsor more easily than if you go to BU. You agree? Alors, Rajiv, famous last words. What piece of advice would you give? And because Rajiv, I feel that Rajiv, I'm sure that once he's retired, he would join MBA Center and he would be a coach. I would hire him because he's a very good writer. He got 750 on the GMAT, and I will enroll him. But you know, once if he has enough time for us, because maybe that time he will manage his flats, his business, etc. But he has a coach mentality, Rajiv. So what would you say, Rajiv?
So my only advice would be less on the GMAT side. I think I did not find it too struggling, but I would say on the application side, I would say somebody gave me that advice. It helped. Like, of course, listen to Hubert, but I would also say, in addition, look at each university's website maybe 5 times, because every time you will read, you will figure out what they're looking for, and each school is different. So maybe the one thing that really helps me customize, like how I thought about applications, that would be one advice I would give you. Don't try to make one format and try to kind of modify a little bit across universities. That won't work. That's my thought.
Yes, it's something that I strongly advise you to do. I wanted to give you I've written I don't have them here, but I've written mini guides now about all the schools. So I don't know if it's possible to put something in the chat. No, it's not possible, but I want to send you the one that I've written. So I've written one about Chicago, one about MIT. So it's a 16-page booklet detailing the admission process. So we have to go there. Okay. Once a year we meet, Olivier, but we meet, we talk more regularly. So thank you very much, Olivier, for coming. I know that you're very busy. Are you in France or in Brazil now, Olivier? You're in France? Or... Hello, Olivier?
Yeah, I'm in France.
In France, okay. Because now I know that you spend a lot of time, and you're right to spend time in Brazil because your wife is from there.
I was in Montreal last week in Canada.
Okay, because you have a kid there. Your kid is,
yeah, my son just started at McGill.
And we studied at McGill as well. So we studied at McGill as well.
Yeah, I studied at McGill.
We studied at McGill.
3 years.
But it was nice to talk to you. It was nice to see you again. Of course, I'm very happy to see that you're all doing so well. Rajiv, okay, Olivier, impressive achievement. Louis, we're still working on his startup. I'm sure that it's the beginning and difficult. Olivier knows what it is. By the way, if you're looking for a good lawyer, I highly recommend Olivier, because Olivier is a good lawyer, but he's a great negotiator. Okay, so he mastered the technical. I don't know where you learned negotiating, by the way, Olivier, at Chicago.
Well, I did with Louis. Louis mentioned Richard Thaler, and one of the main areas of study of Richard Thaler is negotiation. And yeah, I learned negotiation because that's my daily job, and it has been so for 20 years. But also, you know, I gained a structured approach of negotiation at the University of Chicago, and with, you know, both my experience and the teaching I got at the University of Chicago, I created a class. I teach negotiation at Sorbonne. I teach it at Schema Business School. Sometimes in other places. I've done some workshops for the University of Chicago alumni, for the INSEAD alumni also, I guess. So yeah, but that's my job, but the University of Chicago helped structure that.
By the way, Olivier, I would like to attend your class at Schema, because you know what I mean. No, but honestly, because I know that you're a great negotiator, because I know I've experienced that. But if you don't mind, when you give a class, I would like to attend because I would be to learn. Huh? I want to learn, not just. I'm sure that you're a great professor. But
Well,
I want to.
we should do a paying workshop. We should organize a workshop,
Yeah,
and we could invite some people.
Yes. Why not? But if you do
The
something,
the schema students are a little younger than you, they're about 21, 22.
Yeah, but still, I'm sure that to get the structure of the thing. So Rajiv, reply. Louis, what would you say? What piece of advice would you give to our students?
Oh, I already mentioned a bit what Olivier was saying, and
Yeah.
just to be focused on what you want, and to echo again once again what Rajiv said is each school is different, and not every school is made for everybody. So just know about your choices.
So basically, because I work with all of you, so yes, the thing is that I know you're busy, you have family, you have hobbies, etc. So try to be focused. Huh? I know it's not fun, but you're going to gain so much from this MBA that it's worth spending some time and energy. Huh? Remember, Louis, I was running after you sometimes. Huh? Okay,
Yeah.
You did not forget. So, but it worked. Have a good day. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
All right.
thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you for coming.
Good luck,
Rajiv.
and
Thank
good
you for
luck on
coming.
your applications on GMAT.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Have a